I read this on the record in the hearing. Rule 18C.
It's on recording and broadcasting.
Which is in the Texas code or procedure for
Civil procedures.
Civil procedure.
Right.
Recording and broadcasting court proceedings. A trial court may permit broadcasting, televising, recording, and photographing of proceedings in the courtroom only if the following instances apply. There are 3 instances. B was what was relevant today, when broadcasting, televising, recording, or photographing will not unduly distract participants or impair the dignity of the proceedings, and the parties have consented. And consent being depicted or recorded is obtained from each witness whose testimony will be broadcast, televised, or photographed.
There is a protocol to allow me to videotape in there. You were the only witness.
Yes.
And we had your permission.
Yes.
Now, the opposing attorney, Amy Bryan, she didn't say anything. All she said is, I do not consent. She gave no testimony. She did nothing like that. She would not have been videotaped. She had no words to say. But what I really find is interesting is this, that the photographing or the video recording would not impair the dignity of the proceedings, and the parties have consented. Impairing the dignity of the proceedings, I saw what took place. I don't know what the dignity of the proceedings were to begin with. I don't see how my videotaping would have impaired the dignity of the proceedings. In fact, I think had I been videotaping, it actually would have enhanced the dignity of the proceedings. But I'm going to let you comment on that. Again, I was surprised because Amy Bryan, which I knew, the opposing attorney would not consent. It just seems to me like something is wrong. Like maybe it's there are hidden things taking place. It almost seems a little bit medieval in a sense that, you know, here we are in America in the 21st century, and we should be very transparent about what takes place in courts. Why should we have to be concerned about a video recording impairing the dignity of the proceedings when, as I said, I think it would enhance the dignity of the proceedings because a judge may not abuse you at that point. But go ahead and give me your perspective.
Well, Jeff, I want you to know I was intentionally laying a foundation that sincerely I was not trying to disrespect the court, court reporter, or any parties in there. But the concern is they have full access and control of the official narrative that leaves the courtroom for the transcript.
And can I add real quickly here? It has not been unheard of that a judge would tell somebody to strike certain testimony from the transcript. So this basically is a protection to you as a litigant or the plaintiff here to say, I want to make sure that the proceedings are accurately recorded. We're not, and you acted very respectfully. There was nothing at all disrespectful about it, but you just wanted to make sure that the integrity of the proceedings would be captured and that there would be no hanky-panky or no nonsense taking place with the transcript.
I'm like everybody else. I really didn't know my constitutional rights or anything like that prior to getting involved in this process. But that's called, this hanky-panky that you referred to, is called the right to due process, the right to be heard. And that's what I wanted to maintain was, even with part of my evidence against Judge Michael Moore pertaining to my recusal has to do with his suppression and oppression of pro se litigants and suppressing preservation of the record and evidence. And then I mentioned, Jeff, and I want to go back and touch on, you mentioned this is like some kind of medieval hearing taking place. In the 1600s, there was what was called the Star Court or the Star Chambers. And I'm just going to read to you what Black's Law Dictionary, which is the official dictionary for the legal profession, the 10th edition, has to say about the Star Chamber. It's an English court having broad civil and criminal jurisdiction at the king's discretion and noted for its secretive, arbitrary, and oppressive procedures, including the compulsory self-incrimination, inquisitorial investigation, and the absence of juries. The Star Chamber was abolished in 1641 because of its abuse of power.
Well, that sounds like we have the Star Chamber going on right now. Sorry to say that, but I saw what took place in here. But anyway, continue on.
The hearing was extremely short. The judge opened up addressing the about being able for Jeff to videotape the proceeding. I objected at every possible avenue, at every possible step along the way. I objected. He immediately shut me down as quickly as he could. I really feel like this judge knew I was trying to preserve the record. However, prior to him getting up and walking away, it took me aback to where I was speechless.
Are you talking about when he threatened you? Or does that come later on?
Well, Jeff, I was astounded. I didn't have time to process. I'm not a veteran to these type of proceedings. I try to treat everyone within this courtroom with respect
and dignity.
But addressing my concerns in a very forthright manner. But the judge asked me, he says, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Well, I live in Mineral Wells." And then he said, "Do you want to go home tonight?"
Well, sir, Mr. Johnson, listen, where do you live?
Sir, I live in Mineral Wells.
You want to go home tonight? You want to go home tonight? You want to go home tonight?
This judge in here, he threatened you. Mr. Johnson, where do you live? Do you want to go home tonight? I was shocked. My jaw just about dropped.
Jeff, and I had no idea that I would be, it didn't dawn on me that I might be threatened by the very person who's supposed to
administer justice.
Administer justice.
Yeah.
I like that, administer justice. Here I am, just gonna have a conversation about why I want to think that this recusal is necessary,
right,
and present my side of things. And he came in with a bad attitude, and I didn't address that on the record, but I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
But let me go back to this, because you make a very good point. When you are in a courtroom and the judge is a god, a demigod of the courtroom, and the judge gets to determine what you can and can't say. The judge can threaten you with going to jail for the evening, which is what he did. I mean, in my opinion, that's exactly what he did. The judge has the ability to beat you up, as that one judge told me. The judge has the ability to not even look at evidence, as I also found out in this whole thing. There is something wrong with this. And that's why this idea about, well, the videotaping might impair the dignity of the court. He never would have said that had he known he was on camera. He never would have done that. If I'd have been in your place, how could you protest? What's he gonna do, throw you in jail? Bailiff, put him in jail?
Jeff, I had nothing, I didn't know what to expect coming in here. I tried to come in on good faith.
Yeah. Good faith in these courts is something that we are lacking a lot of. And that was what he's talked about. He talked about the integrity of the courts. And I remember you said something, our faith in the courts is at an all-time low. Yes. And that's absolutely true. I think had we had a videotape and we could have watched his face as well, everybody would agree that Judge Wallace threatened Brandon in the courtroom today and then walked out. There was no due process here. Due process is not just the ability to be heard, but to be meaningfully heard. He shut you down.